Aloha. Yes, Nimbula, Vinaka. Aloha, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in on this awesome Talanoa session. We are so blessed that we have one of our Hawaiian Kapa makers, a renowned artist here on the Big Island, who's connecting in from Waimea here on the Big Island in Hawaii. So it's Monday, the 2nd of August here in Hawaii. It's the beginning of a new month, and it's also part of our Motivational Mondays. Now, for those of you connecting in from Fiji and Australia or on the other side of the dateline, yesterday was your Motivational Monday. So yesterday we hosted Tali Tora, who has created a new line of ginger beer. So Vinaka Tali Tora for inspiring many of us women in Fiji and also in the Pacific. And so it's really nice to have her start the Motivational Monday for the month of August. And today we are so blessed to have another woman who is from Hawaii, and that is where I'm logging in from. And I've worked with her ever since I arrived here in Hawaii. And I've just been so blessed getting to know her. And we visited her farm in Waimea. And I just learned so much from her. And I actually worked with her cousin, Sarah Bishop, at the Auckland Museum in Aotearoa. So what a small world, right? What a small world. And it is just so beautiful that, you know, we can be connected to our roots, through the arts. So we can connect to our roots through pottery making, through mat weaving, through basket making, through language, through dance, and the list goes on. And one way where we can connect through to our own heritage is through Kapa or Tapa or Hiapo, Siapo, or Kapa, as they know in Hawaii. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for those of you who are connecting in from the US. Mule Vinaka emosi mule, emosi varea, setereki sokutuki vei, weningolo vertayado, and sundangera, bula Vinaka, Lisa Solomine, aloha Lisa, thank you for logging in from Oahu, Iliani Tuikena Tambua, Vinaka Vakalevu Nasema Tikumai, Safaira Ogden. We have, yes, so many people logging in now, Vinaka Valevu, and from Australia, Choni Tuingali and family. Thank you so much for your constant support in the, listening into all the stories that we share on my platform. It means so much. Pasiti Baraki, Vinaka Vakalevu, to all our Hawaiian brothers and sisters who will be joining us as well. And I also know the Tongans will be on board as well. So Tui Emagilis, I know you will join at some point. And also our Tapa makers in Fiji, Koto Matemosi, Bulo Amaleni. So there's a few of our young women in Fiji and also in Tonga who are looking forward to this Talanoa session. So right now, we have our guest listening in from the other side of this computer. I will get her to unmute her tablet. And thank you, Ginger, who's also helping her with her computer, just to say bula and aloha to you. Thank you so much, Roen Hufford, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I have a large group here. We were reading Kapa today. This is Mondays is our Kapa day at my place. And it's always an exciting time to share this with my friends, young and old. And so everyone has gone home to take care of the faces that they beat today. And I'm in my studio. And
Ginger, would you be able to move the tablet close to Roen so we can hear her voice, and increase the volume if you can on your tablet? Thank you, Ginger.
Okay, 1 second.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Roen. So maybe to kickstart our talk story today, if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, Roen, like your family, whakapapo genealogy to Hawaii, just so we can get to know you a little bit more. And if you can unmute your tablet as well.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, much better.
Okay. My full name is Roen Haley Kahaliwai McDonald and now Hufford. And the kapa that you see behind me celebrates my name and where I come from. When I was born a while ago, I was given the name of a great aunt, and she was born in the time when Halley's Comet passed over Hawaii. So her name was Haley Kahaliwai. So that's where I get my name. And the kapa moe on the wall, I made in honor of that event, and that connects me to my kupuna. Obviously, I didn't know this woman. I only knew about her from stories that my mother, Marie McDonald, told me about her and my grandmother, who was a native Hawaiian. I would ask my mother if, since my mother taught me how to do this, she was my mentor and my teacher, I often asked my mother, well, what would my grandmother say about all of this? Since my grandmother died when I was only 15 years old, and she didn't know that I had this skill. So
Ginger, can I just interrupt a little bit? We would like to see the video of Rowan, or maybe would you switch your tablet if it's possible, just so we can see the Kapa that Rowan is talking about. Thank you, Ginger.
This one behind me?
Yes. So.
Can you see that?
I think we can see, we kind of seeing Ginger's tablet.
I think she wants me to say.
Okay, well,
yeah,
I don't have.
Yeah. So maybe you'll just swap. You can do audio on yours or do audio on Ginger, and then do a video on either of your tablets.
Yeah.
Okay. So aloha everyone, thank you for logging in. So yeah, at the moment we can see Ginger's name. Yeah, no, I think they're trying to connect because they have two phones. Yeah, okay, no worries, we'll wait. Not a problem. Yeah, we have the whole afternoon. So thank you so much for everyone for logging in. Setereti Sokotuki Vei, Chonimbati Wale, yes. Chochingarani Valu, Elis Rayawa, thank you for joining in. So we are connecting over to Waimea on the Big Island in Hawaii, where we are interviewing one of the renowned Hawaiian Kapa maker. So as you all know, Kapa is the Hawaiian name for Tapa, and that's the Polynesian word. And then we all have the different words for the different islands, like Fiji, we call it Masi. And in Niue, they call it Hiapo. In Samoa, they call it Siapo. Yeah? And in Tonga, they call it Tapa. Yeah, or Ngatu, rather, Ngatu. Eh? So, yeah, so today we'll be getting Rowan to share with us her story. So at the moment, they're just trying to shift the video so we can see the Tapa.
How is that?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay.
Beautiful. Yay.
Yeah. So this Kapa, I was challenged by other Kapa makers to make a Kapa moi, which is a blanket. And typically they're no smaller than 6 by 6 feet. This Kapa is 7.5 by 7.5 feet, and it's 2 layers. And if you can see these circular forms that, as I was saying earlier, celebrate the name that I was given, linking me to my kupuna Heli Kahale Vai, who was born the year that Halley's Comet passes over. Now, for some reason, this circular pattern appears often in my work. So the things that I'll show you, if you Google me and you see some of my work online, you'll see that circular pattern appearing over and over again. Now, I learned to do this from my mother, Marie McDonald. She passed recently, a couple of years ago. One of her goals in life was to make beautiful leis and to make beautiful kapa. And being her firstborn child, I was her shadow. And I followed her all over and became her kokua. And as a result, I was able to do everything that she was able to do. The last few years of her life, she felt that she had accomplished everything that she wanted to do. And she gifted me with her tools, her wauke patch, and the knowledge of how to do this. So I am following in her footsteps because I would like her to be remembered as a fine teacher. And teachers pass on what they learn. And so I have a group that meets fairly regularly with me. They meet on Monday. They just left. They range in age from 10 to 75. Wow. And these people, both men and women, come and we learn to grow the wauke, which is later processed and beaten into kapa. They learn how to take care of it, prune it, divide it, plant it, and then they learn when to harvest it, strip it, remove the bark, soak it, let it ret, let it ferment, and then beat it out. They learn how to make their own tools. Today we talked about briefly some colors that are extracted from plant and earth sources. So there's lots to do at my studio on Mondays. I have this nice group that likes to share and help each other to learn how to beat kapa. Very much like it might have been in another time where women got together and cooperatively completed this task, this very arduous task of making their clothing. Now, if anybody knows, kapa cannot be laundered. And so if it wore out or got torn or got wet, it had to be replaced. And so this was a task that women in another time, probably around 1850, up until that time, they were doing it every day. So with the introduction of fibers to Hawaii, like cotton and silk and wool, they quickly gave up this task because they found that they could have fibers and fashioned into clothing that could be washed and used over and over and over again, that could come in brightly colored patterns. So kapa for a while was resting. But as with many traditional arts and crafts, it has awakened. And there's a whole group of kapa makers who are working to understand what our kupuna were able to do with this really great plant material. I must admit that I didn't approach it from a cultural viewpoint. I didn't do it because my kupuna did it. I did it because I was ordered to do it. My mother insisted that I do this. And I always told her, Mom, I don't need to know how to do this. You do it very well. You know, why do I need to do it? You're great at it. So, but she said, no, you need to do this. And so here I find myself at age 71 doing it. And I am as much in love with it as my mother was. It's a very creative material. You can do all kinds of things with it. And I don't always treat it traditionally. I put my own spin on it. I try to incorporate ideas that other Pacific peoples have done when beating bark cloth.
So you're very creative that way. I was just thinking, you know, when your mom was ordering you, you know, when you were young, what was going on in your mind? Like, what was your usual response to your mom?
Well, my response was, I could understand learning how to beat the fibers out and learning how to make the bark of a tree into a cloth. That was, you know, a very technical thing that had to be learned. But once I was faced with a blank piece of kapa, then I had to put my own mark on it. I had to put my own self into it. And I didn't want my pieces to look like my mother's. She did that already. So I had to figure out what kind of designs to put into the kapa that my mother had not done, that would reflect me. So my first pieces had a lot of leis on them because that's what I knew. I knew leis and I knew flowers. And so I did a lot of painting. Over the years, 20 plus, I've been able to really embrace the idea of printing on the kapa, which is more traditional. So, and also by imparting color to the kapa, which the Hawaiians did, but like this piece here.
Wow.
This is dyed in kukui, the bark, the inner bark of the root of the kukui. And I don't know if you can tell, there's a watermark that's beaten into it.
Wow.
Can we get that, Ginger?
Yeah, I think we can see. Thank you,
Yeah.
Ginger. That is beautiful. So talking about dyes, so candle nut or kukui is one of your raw materials, eh?
Yes, this is from the inner bark of the root.
Oh,
so
wow.
One has to harvest the root. Can we turn it? Maybe we can turn it so it looks like.
Wow.
I'm going to turn so that some light comes through it.
Yeah, that is amazing. So for
There
those of you, oh, wow, we can see it.
Right.
Wow.
See now, Hawaiian kapa had watermarks beaten into, just like I beat these
I can
designs.
see the watermark, yes.
I'm going to show you another piece that.
Man, wow. For those of you who are watching, these are the Hawaiian kapa or tapa or bark cloth. And we are talking to Roen Hufford, one of the Hawaiian kapa makers connecting in from Waimea. So for those of you, have a look at the watermark. That's what she's trying to show us on her tapa. Keep an eye out on the watermark.
So if the kapa was light shone through it, like a skirt maybe was worn in the dance, and it flipped up and revealed this hidden design.
Wow. That is beautiful. Wow.
Okay.
Man, the Hawaiians, you take kapa making to another level. That's something I always say. I'm very proud of the Fijian Masi. I will be saying that all the time, as you know, but the Hawaiians, you take it another level, right?
Right, well, yeah. So knowing that, I can also, put this texture or this hidden design into it, besides the colors that are derived from plant and earth sources. So these are just a couple of things that I've been working on lately. I also learned I saw a piece made by Rapa Nui people that they stitched pieces together and did a quilting.
Oh my
goodness. And so you can see the stitching that I put in here in honor of what Rapa Nui people were able to do, that they were able to do this kind of quilted pattern. And so the big kapa moe on the wall has stitching. Can you come in close on it? See the stitching that follows the design?
Yes.
And also comes through on the back piece.
Wow. That
amazing. Stitching follows the designs that are printed on.
Wow. Man.
So kapa makers are always they want to make bigger pieces, they want to make finer pieces, they want to make colorful pieces, they want to show their skill at beading or their skill at printing. So I do all of that because that's what I was tasked to do.
That is amazing.
Here's just the snippet of some other things that I have in progress.
Wow.
I'll just flip through them so you can get a sense of.
Look at those concentric circles. Hey, you continue to use those beautiful circles.
This particular piece was, we were playing with some indigo.
Yeah.
A weaver was weaving indigo, and we just dribbled the indigo all over the kapa to get that lovely blue color. Now this is more my printing style. Again, that circular form, that starburst, that celestial thing that's happening.
That is amazing.
So, and this is one big piece. So
one big piece.
I'm trying to be bigger.
Wow.
And make them more colorful.
And for the colors, for the yellow, what are the raw material?
Is turmeric or olena.
Okay.
This is a native hibiscus called ma'ohauhele. And sometimes that color will come out yellow.
Wow.
And if it can be changed depending on the acidity or alkalinity of the kapa itself. And there are ways I've discovered to change the color.
Wow.
Like this one, there's all the same color. This is the same color, the same dye, but I put a secret ingredient in it.
Oh, top secret, top secret.
And also, it's here too. So it looks as if the moon was. It's also a lot of fun just to play with it.
Yeah. So what inspires you to come up with these designs and the color?
I'm not sure exactly when I go to print a piece, I usually print several pieces at one time. I'm not printing just one at a time. So every piece I'll work at doing something different.
That is so unique.
Yeah. So I'll make up a pot of color and use it on all the pieces. I'll show you one more, which is kind of interesting.
Wow.
This one.
Look at that. Wow.
This is from my Mauna series.
I was just going to say, it reminded me of Mauna Kea.
I decided I needed to put a Mauna in there.
Wow.
Since I have one right outside my window.
Oh my goodness. So for those of you listening in, if you haven't been to Waimea where Rowan is right now, when you look up from the back of where she's standing, you can see Mauna Kea right there. So the beautiful Mauna Kea, the highest mountain on earth, if you measure it from the bottom of the ocean. So this is just so awesome.
Yeah,
wow.
Here's another of my Mauna series.
Wow. That is beautiful. I just love the color scheme. The color scheme is how you put it together. It's very earthy and bright and like a mixture of them too. Beautiful.
So this blue-green color is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's specific to this island.
Okay.
It's spirulina.
Oh.
It's spirulina.
Wow. That is beautiful. Man. See, we're learning so much today just by looking at, you know, the, how do you call it? The dyes, yeah? Yes. And using the natural dyes.
Right. I guess I could use acrylics or watercolors or temperas, But there's so much, it's interesting to put the color down and see it change. So usually my printing process takes several days. I'll put a color down, let it dry, come back and see what it's done overnight, and then I'll proceed with the next step of the design.
Wow.
So, so for me, the first part of all of this is growing of the wauke. And I tell anybody who wants to do that first, they need to have the resource. They need to grow some wauke. And so that's what my group does. They come and they take care of our resource. So we always have enough to do whatever we want. Yes. So it means that one needs to be sensitive to the growing of the plant, how the plant grows and what it can, when it can give you the bast to make the kapa, and at what time of year you can harvest. The second thing is that you need to have your tools. So you have to make your own tools or find somebody who can make your tools for you. So some of the tools, I'm very lucky. I was gifted tools. Wow. I was gifted the tools from my mother. And some of them people gifted her. Or were made by people who had the skills as woodworkers. So I have these tools, and all of my students, this is the tools that they use. So actually they're getting some of my mother's influence because they beat with my mother's tools. This is my mother's first tool.
So this is called in Hawaiian, is it ie or ike?
The bullet-shaped ones are called hohoa.
Hohoa.
Hohoa, yeah, and they're usually used for the first beating of the fibers. Right. And they're usually we beat on a stone. So the anvil is called the kua. So a stone anvil is a kua pohaku. After the first beatings, the fibers are felted in layers with the four-sided tools called the ie kuku. So each side has a design on it, and that design can do certain things as you're beating the fibers. They can spread them out, or they can beat them finer or put a watermark into them.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can see these have fibers because we were just using them just a little while ago.
Wow. See, the ones on the right-hand side, I'm more used to it. I've seen some in Fiji, but the ones with the watermark is really, really Hawaiian, eh?
Yeah. Now this particular one, you can see how regular the pattern is.
Yes.
Even on each side. And apparently these were traditional patterns that my mother found in literature. And she asked a gentleman who had the capability to cut this. He programmed it into his computer, and he had a laser cutter print thing saw that put those designs in. So this was done artificially, whereas this one was a saw was used, but it was done manually. So many of these woods are native woods. They're on the endangered species list, and in order for the tool makers to make to gather the wood and make tools out of them, they had to document where the beater went, to whom the beater was gifted. So these never can be sold. They can be passed on from one person to another, but never sold. So there's strict documentation on the woods, like this one is Kawila.
Wow.
Yeah. This one is Ala'a. And this one, these two are non-natives. They're eucalyptus.
I see.
And these two are from a stair railing.
Oh, okay.
They work really well.
So you're very, very creative that way. Yeah?
Oh, yes, sure.
To think outside the box and utilize what's there. I love the fact that, you know that some of the trees, are extinct. And, the government or the state is keeping a record of that. That's really nice that it goes even down.
They know who the Kapa makers are that have these tools. They know where the tool went. Now, as far as making designs on the Kapa, there are different ways that you can print. And I have inherited all my mother's printers.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And once in a while, I will use them.
So this is the style of the Hawaiian making, yes?
Right.
Right.
So the ohe kapala, the designs would be carved into a sliver of bamboo, and then the dye is brushed on to the bamboo. So these are different ones that my mother made.
Wow.
And
your mom was so creative. And
yes, she was. So she would make these designs, and people would come to visit her and take a picture, just like I'm showing you. They would take a picture of her tools, and some of these tools are on the internet. I have seen them on the internet. So you can tell which ones she used a lot because they have lots of dye on it, lots of color. So, or she would use the end of a piece of bamboo like that.
Look at that. So they're like bamboo stem tubes, are they?
Yeah, so they call that ohe kapala.
Ohe kapala. So ohe is bamboo in Hawaiian?
That's right. Kapala is a printer. Okay. The traditional tools, even before Western contact, what might have looked like these here. Those are, these are liners that are cut. So they make parallel lines, straight, evenly spaced apart. I use those liners a lot.
I see.
So if there's anything that I use of hers, I use her liners. This is one of my favorite liners. It's simply a sliver of bamboo.
Wow.
Yeah. Or somebody made this one out of a piece of wood. These are other liners. Here's actually my favorite liner. These are pieces of wood.
Yeah.
That I picked up off a woodworker's floor. And you can see where I put the dye on the edge.
On the edge.
And I simply print like this.
Yeah.
Where I draw a line like that. Same thing with this one here. It's used like this.
Dip it in and then you just line it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or I print this side. I print that triangle. I also like to, this is an interesting one. These are cut from a large, big, round piece of bamboo, and the design cut into the fibers. These are the seed of the hala fruit, where the fibrous end has been ground down, and that makes the design.
That is amazing. Thank you, Ginger, for being a good videographer.
And then I have tools like this. This is a tool that a student gave me. It's carved out of a piece of linoleum. Or there's a tool like this that's carved on an eraser.
Wow.
Here's one that's carved out of an eraser.
That is amazing. Look at that. Just simple
Anything
things.
to make a design.
Wow.
Here's
So for those,
one that a student made for me. He was really into surfing, so there's his surfboard.
a surfboard.
And so
Oh,
I like
by
to
the way, I just want to congratulate our Hawaiian sister who won gold in the Olympics.
Yay. Yes.
Yay! She was the surfer.
Yes.
So congratulations, Hawaii, for getting a gold in Tokyo. And now we are looking at a surfboard design.
Right. So I like to include a little bit of my mother in my work and have some of my own designs, but I also include the designs that my students have given me to put in my work.
Wow, that is amazing collaboration, eh? You're working together with your students. Sure. Yes. Wow, so powerful, so powerful.
So let's see. So I talked about growing the wauke, learning how to get the bast out of it. So on Mondays, this is what we are doing now. We are making rolls and rolls. We call this mo'o.
Mo'o.
Yeah,
wow.
It's once beaten. And so the ladies and fellas will beat these out every Monday and we'll dry them. And later on, we'll put them together and make larger pieces. So I want to show you one really fine piece.
Yes. Wow, man, we're learning so much. So for those of you who are just joining in, this is Roen Hufford, who is a Kapa maker, and she's logging in from her farm in Waimea on the Big Island. So aloha, bula Vinaka.
This piece was beaten from one wauke tree.
One wauke tree.
And you can see how soft it is. Almost like gauze.
Yes, almost like gauze.
It has been worn several times.
Oh, like that. That looks so beautiful on you.
I would like to say that I did this, but I didn't. One of my students did it.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at the creativity of your students. They're just reflecting the work of the teacher. That is awesome. And how long would that take for a student to make that piece you're holding, Roen?
One afternoon.
One afternoon.
About 2 hours. About 2 hours. This is made in 2 hours.
Wow.
That doesn't count the time that it took to grow.
Yes, and to soak.
to soak and everything.
Yeah.
But the actual beating took about 2 hours.
Right. So the actual beating. So those of you who are asking, the beating of that piece takes 2 hours. But then, as you heard from Roen, there's the harvesting part, the soaking, and all of that. That's outside the 2 hours.
Right. And once we plant, say like Tarisi came to my farm, and she and her husband took root stock to plant on their farm. Once they planted it, it would take anywhere from 12 to 18 months before they could harvest the wauke itself. Right. It should be about 2 inches in diameter, about the size of a broomstick. And I'm finding that the best time to harvest for me is from August through November. So we're right in the middle of our harvest time. And the reason why this is a good time to harvest is that the wauke responds to the day length. And when the days get longer, then the sap runs up and down the stalk, and it's easy to remove the bast from the stalk. During the times of the year where the wauke will drop its leaves, or the leaves will get very small, the bast doesn't, the
the sap is not running, and so it's hard to get it off. So it's taken me a while to figure that out, and so now we don't struggle. We harvest during the right times of the year, and the other times of the year from late November to June is spent taking the mo'o that we've beaten, rehydrating it and beating into larger pieces, or it's used, the time is used to print and make dyes and add color to the kapa.
And you mentioned about the, like the sap running through the plant. Right. So in a way, you are basically now becoming like a botanist, apart from being a kapa maker and an artist. Yes.
Definitely. And then I have to become a chemist when I have to figure out the colors. But
the colors.
Yeah, definitely. You have to have some understanding of what the plants are doing as they grow. And they're responding to the number of day hours. So they're putting out more leaves. When they put out more leaves, then you know that the sap is running. When they drop their leaves, the plant is going to rest. So that's something we had to learn.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing. Do you think this was the knowledge that your ancestors in Hawaii applied to? What do you think?
I'm sure it was, because they always, depending on what it was, what natural material they needed for life, yes, whether it was for eating, yes, or for clothing, or for making of ropes. They knew the cycles of the plants and the other creatures, and so they would put kapu on them when it was time to let those plants or animals
to rest,
spawn or make new plants.
Wow.
You don't want to take too much, because in the future you may not have enough.
Exactly.
So the growing of wauke takes space, and it takes many hands to take care of it. So as it grows, it has to be pruned so the fibers are nice and long. We did some pruning today. You want to take the lateral branches, because the plant is just responding to the cycles of nature. It wants to be bushy. It wants to collect a lot of sunlight. So you're wanting it to make it grow long fibers, so you have to take off the side branches.
I see. Otherwise it goes like that, and that's what you don't want, right?
Right, and then you have short fibers, and they're hard to make into large pieces. If you want to make an 8-foot square couple more, you need to have long pieces. Wow. So I'm very fortunate in that I inherited a nice patch. It started with a plant that came from Kualoa on the island of Oahu. I asked my mother where it came from, and she had. We used to live on Oahu, and she was gifted this start, and she carried it around, almost like her kupuna might have carried in their canoe. She carried it with her when she migrated to this island in 1973. And when she was she got this piece of land where we live. In 1978, she was able to put it in the ground, just as our kupuna would have carried the rootstock in a bundle on the canoe, because to take to the new place that they're immigrating to. So that's what she did with this plant from Kualoa. And so when we got this place to live, she found we had no water source here. There was no county water or agricultural water. We didn't have a stream. So she looked for the lowest part on the farm where she figured the water would go to gravitate to that spot. And that's where she planted her wauke. It is now, I'd say the patch is about 30 by 30 feet.
Wow.
And it takes us, when we go to work in the patch and clean it, it takes us several days where we can work through the whole patch. We don't do the whole patch at once. Usually we harvest one side of it at one time, and then new shoots will come up in their place. So it's, in some places of the world, this material, Brucinettia papyrifera, it's called botanically, is an invasive plant, and people try to get rid of it. Here, it has to be nurtured and taken care of primarily for making kapa.
Wow.
So,
man,
there are many different kinds. There are some kapa makers who make it their business to know all the different varieties of kapa. I have two kinds. One of mine is called manalima, which has deeply divided leaves, and so there are 5 points to the leaf, like your 5 fingers. And a DNA study was taken of it, and that that particular variety has its roots in China, in Taiwan. And I have another variety which is heart-shaped leaves, and that is supposedly a Hawaiian variety. I don't know how they figured that out, but an anthropologist in Chile did DNA studies on all of these and wrote a paper on it. This is really very interesting. And so now we know, her idea was to address how Pacific peoples traveled and moved around the Pacific by carrying with them the plants, the canoe plants that were important for life. And so that's why she tracked Wauke.
Wow, that is amazing. See this plant there, the Wauke, is something that connects most of our islands in the Pacific, because it moves.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So that is why I'm fascinated by that. That anthropologist had connections to Rapa Nui. So that's why I honor the Rapa Nui people by doing something that they might have done to their kapa. And when I meet other kapa makers from around the Pacific, I like to understand how they treat the same material and make their bark cloth.
Wow.
So I want to make a kupesi.
Yes.
Like my Tongan friends.
The kupesi from Tonga.
And do the kupesi and put that into my kapa as well.
Yeah. So you mentioned Rapa Nui and you've mentioned Tonga. Are there other islands in the Pacific that you are inspired of?
Actually, yes, I've been making a Korean connection. You know, the Koreans use this same material, paper mulberry, to make hanji, a paper-like material, and to make boyagi, which is a kind of a textile that's quilted. And I have a student who is originally from South Korea, and she has been working with me to learn about kapa and use this plant material. Wow. So she told me that she has tools that are similar that they use in Korea to make this paper-like material.
Wow.
And they wear it too.
They wear it.
They wear it.
So speaking of wearing, like, Korea, they wear it, same as most of our islands in the Pacific. You mentioned about your mom making special kapa skirts for the Merry Monarch. What was the experience like when your mom did that?
That was back in about 2009. She challenged a group of us to make kapa that would be worn by Halau Okekuhi for the Ho'ike part of the Merry Monarch Festival. It did happen in 2011. And if you go online and you look at the Merry Monarch Ho'ike 2011, you'll see the kapa that the kapa makers made. And so there were kapa makers that sent pieces from Kauai, Lanai, Maui, Molokai, Hawaii, and Oahu. There are about 26 of us. And this whole project is documented in a film called Kahana Kapa. Wow. And PBS and the State Foundation on Culture and the Arts often air it on television. Your local PBS station, you can request that they air Kahana Kapa. It's really quite a nice documentary. I'm not sure if it's available, for purchase online, but you can. They show it regularly here in Hawaii.
Wow! So what motivated your mom to challenge you?
She wanted to show that we have the knowledge and the capability to do exactly what our kupunas did, was to make wearable pieces of kapa. And so it was a learning experience for all of us. There were pieces that tore.
Wow.
But it was learning for the dancers too. If you speak to those people, the men and women who danced in the malo or the pa'u, they really enjoyed that experience. The hula became even more alive to them because they were in traditional costume.
That is amazing. Wow. And I'm just interested as well to hear about the men's role. What do men do when it comes to kapa making?
Men took care of the wauke patch. Okay. They were fine agriculturalists, so they took care of growing of the wauke and harvesting and making the tools, and feeding the ladies as they worked.
Yes. So they should.
That's a really important thing, because men did all the cooking. So they were part of the infrastructure to make this all happen. If the women couldn't sit and beat kapa if they didn't have the wauke itself. So they helped to grow it, and they made all the tools to make this all happen. Wow. I can tell you a story about one of my kapa sisters.
Yes,
how
sure.
She got started in this. Her brother was a woodworker, and he regularly volunteered at the Bishop Museum in Honolulu, and he came across in the collections references to their kupuna with kapa making tools. And so he went to his sister and he said, there are 166 references to our kupuna as a kapa maker. So it's in our family, we need to carry it on. And so he says, I will make the tools and you will beat the kapa. And so that is how my friend Brenda Takashima became a kapa maker. Wow. She makes big pieces. She did a kapa moi that has been in Aotearoa, which was 12 by 12 feet and several layers. She's done several of them, and I think they live in Aotearoa.
Wow, that is beautiful. See, look at what arts do. It connects, traditional relationships. It forges that special bond, right? Between countries. And look at this, Hawaii and Aotearoa. That is awesome. Wow. And what about your exhibitions? I know you've exhibited a lot, Roen.
Yeah, well, the resume is long.
Any particular highlight of your exhibition
Recently, I sent the kapa moi that's on the wall all the way to Honolulu. I had a special crate was made for it, and it was sent to Honolulu and appeared at the American Savings Bank Lo'i Gallery. The gallery is really aptly named, since wauke grew on the edge of the Lo'i. It was tended at the same time as food was tended in the Lo'i. So the Lo'i Gallery featured my work with 2 other artists, a photographer and a painter. And so that kapa moe was there. And it went in March and came back in June. Coming up soon, the Donkey Mill Art Center in Holualoa, Kona, will have a kapa celebration. And there'll be a number of kapa artists, not only me, who will be sending pieces for exhibition. And we'll be doing a symposium, as well as there'll be a kapa day at the Amy Greenwell Gardens. And that's coming up at the end of this month.
Oh, I'd love to attend that one. I'd love to come.
Yes. Yeah. And so some of my students they'll be there beating away. We'll just take Monday and do it on Saturday.
It is wonderful. I was also going to ask about the Festival of Pacific Arts. I understand you were invited.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not part of the organization, but at one time when in the planning, they often invite kapa people, and we were going to show our kapa moe at that particular event. It was postponed until 2024.
Wow.
And I'm not sure how it's all going to play out. Hopefully, we'll be able to meet with other bark cloth makers from across the Pacific, and that in itself should be very, very exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you mentioned about your school, like they come over to your gallery on Mondays. How does that work, and how do people enroll?
Well, you know,
I want to enroll.
There's no particular enrollment. It's a very loose kind of environment. It's an open studio is what it is.
Wow.
People find out about me, and they either approach me personally or through somebody, a friend of theirs, and they end up beating kapa with us on Monday.
Wow.
So that's how I know Ginger. Ginger was introduced to me by another artist. My first few students found me at the farmer's market and insisted that I teach them how to do this. They got my name from the Gallery of Great Things, where I have some pieces on display and for sale. Some are friends of friends, but mostly if I've on various occasions when I've done an exhibit, we usually do a demonstration, and the sound of the beating brings people to me.
Wow.
They'll hear it from afar, or if I'm beating in a garden or in an outdoor situation, it'll bring people and they want to try. And I remember one particular student, I said, here, you can try it. And she started beating away, and she told me that she was in her happy place. So who knows how they come to me? They come to me, and we do this together.
That is amazing. I was going to ask Ginger. Ginger, how are you finding the school there? Ginger, if I can ask you. What's the experience like for you?
It's really saved me this past year in 2020. I was just fortunate enough to, it's one of those things where you put out the call, and then everyone kind of conspires to help you find what you need. And so I found Roen just through a mixture of luck and I really attribute like my kupuna in making all of the connections happen, and it's really saved me through this odd time.
That is amazing. So you're going to continue learning from Roen in years to come?
There's really no question. for me to continue or not continue. As long as she'll have me, I'll be here.
Wow, that's wonderful. I'd love to join you
there. A lot
there.
of people feel that same way too, and that's why it's like a beautiful ohana that she's created in a special place.
Absolutely. Well done. Thank you, Ginger. Sorry to ask you the question. I wasn't.
No, I'm glad you asked her. So Ginger had a goal in mind when she came and met me. Another kumu had put a call out for people to make kapa to wrap bones in. Mm. And Ginger was not a kapa maker at the time. She didn't have the tools. She didn't have the resources. She didn't have the know-how. She was a student of Oli, actually. Wow. And when she came to me, she said, I need to make a kapa to wrap bones as they're reinterred. And so she has already done that. And she will repeat that many times over. She has learned how to do it and has done it very skillfully.
Wow, so that is amazing.
She's working on making her kua and her beading tools, so that in my absence, she can continue with alone. And that is the goal for all of the people who come to me. We can work as a group, or we can work at home alone and hone our skills so that we can make beautiful pieces.
Yeah, this is just a wonderful example here, Rowan, with you and Ginger and, many other students that you have. You are passing on that knowledge from your mom and from your kupuna.
Exactly.
And we just want to say mahalo to you for having the heart to open your home. And even for us, we felt like, we were part of your ohana for all these years, I felt like coming to Hawaii, it's like I was just, Hawaii is just part of my village back in Fiji. And I feel at home, I feel connected. I just love to incorporate this indigenous knowledge with my teaching. And I have Hawaiian students in my class. I have Pacific Island students, and I always encourage them. I always tell them, you can get your degree, you can get your master's and your PhD, but never forget where you come from. That is something that will connect you to your, your whakapapa and your ohana. Yeah, so
right.
Wow.
So how is your wauke growing?
Yes, so far so good. So maybe in the next talk story, I will show you the plants and we can do a show and tell.
That'd be great. That would be great.
Yeah, we've been sharing our photos with our Fijian friends in Fiji, Tonga and Samoa, and some also live in the United States, in the mainland. So, they are looking at collaboration. So sharing our photos together has really inspired a lot of them. A lot of them have been living in the States for years, but they never reconnected back home. But the kapa seems to be something that talks to them. It speaks to them. And so through you, Rowan, we just wanted to say, Vinaka wakalevu, mahalo nui, for opening your hale, and your time like this. I know it's just after your class, but you're willing to talk to us.
No, you're most welcome. You're most
welcome.
It's been my pleasure.
Malo. So to conclude our talano today, I know there's some young Fijians who are listening in. A few of them are beginning, to relearn the art again. What would be your word of advice to them, Rowan?
Get some wauke starts and plant them somewhere, so you have your raw material to begin with, and then begin to fashion your tools that you will need. You need some beaters and an anvil of some sort. And once you have your wauke growing, you can come on over and I'll show you the next step.
Excellent. So, koto matemosi, buloa maleni korolonga. So I'm calling up the names of these young girls who are into this world of yours, Roen. You are invited below and Koto to come to Hawaii. See, step one, plant your wauke or your Tapa plant them first. Secondly, fly to Hawaii and we'll host you in Waimea. What do you think?
That'd be great. Or we can meet halfway at the university and meet as a big group.
Wow, that is wonderful. Wow, man. Roen and Ginger, or from all of us here who are listening in from Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Tonga, some from the US and some from the UK. Whoa. Aquila Lotoro, Bula Vinaka Malo. So many of our friends were interested in your Talanoa to your talk story, Roen. And so what I will say to you, Roen, and to our listeners, that this is part one.
Okay.
We will definitely invite Roen one more time because there's so much interest, and maybe next time we can choose different topics of the Kapa and just learn from you in terms of the wauke plant. We can talk about the dyes, we can talk about the tools and the design. So wow, that's amazing.
That would be great.
Yeah, thank you so much, Roen.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Ginger. Thank you so much for your beautiful film work and holding the camera. So Ginger showing the haka sign. So there you go. For those of you outside of Hawaii, woo-hoo, that's ahuiho from Hawaii.
Ahuiho.
Oh, thank you so much, Roen. Take care. We'll see you again. Vinaka, Mother, thank you so much. Thank you, Roen. Thank you, Ginger. Yeah. So Lisa, Solomine, yeah, thank you so much to all our Hawaiians and our Hawaiian-based colleagues who are listening in here from Hawaii. I think I can also see Angela. Angela, our sister from Hawaii, who's now logging in from the mainland. Vinaka, Angela, aloha. Mahalo for joining me and Roen in talking about Kapa. So what a wonderful session. And I know our sisters from Polynesia, from Samoa, Tonga, even Rapa Nui and Fiji, and also friends from Vanuatu, Solomon Islands, and Papua New Guinea, they still continue to make Kapa. So maybe I might do a talk story with each one of these ladies. What do you think, Roen? And I could bring them all together.
I would love to see something like that. That would be wonderful.
That is wonderful. That is leading up to 2024. So before the Festival of Pacific Arts in 2024, let's talk story online.
Sure. Good deal.
Okay. Mahalo nui. Thank you so much. Ahui ho. Kakite. Bye-bye. Yes, thank you so much. So for those of you who are listening in today, what a wonderful afternoon, right? Wonderful afternoon of learning about Hawaiian Kapa. Wow, I'm just so blessed to know Roen Hufford. She is a well-known Kapa maker here in Hawaii. Her mom, Marie McDonald, has passed away in 2019 or 2018, and she has continued the art of Kapa making. She's also introducing some modern ways or modern styles, so the ancient Hawaiian styles, and also fusing it with some of the modern styles as well. So that's the amazing way of art that Roen is doing. So she's an artist herself, so you can see that she was invited to submit her work for the Festival of Pacific Arts, which has been postponed to 2024. As you all know, that last year Hawaii was supposed to host the Festival of Pacific Arts, but due to COVID-19, it's been moved all the way to 2024. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you enjoyed the Talanoa with Roen Hufford. So for those of you who are logging in from around the world, Vinaka mahalo nui for joining in. What a wonderful day to learn so much about our arts, and especially about Tapa. So the word Tapa is Kapa in Hawaiian, and Masi in Fijian, Siapo in Samoan, Hiapo in Niuean, and Ngatu in Tongan. So there you go. I'm just so glad that you all stopped by to listen to my talanoa. Bole Vinaka Rosalia Ratu, Bole Vinaka Karua, Bole Vinaka Revangu Maria Wedanabuka, Manakwa na Sema Chikumai, Vinaka Lis Solomine, Alavia Williams, thank you for joining in. Yes, indeed, what a privilege. Bole Vinaka Nina Moreno, and it's very rare for us to talk to a living artist like this. So she will be the first of many artists that we will invite to my platform, and just talk story, and just for them to share whatever they want to share. And so we can all be inspired, particularly during this time of COVID-19. I hope that you're all safe wherever you are. Make sure to wash your hands, wear your mask, and keep your distance from the next person. So safety is very, very important. Yeah. So thinking of our families in Fiji who are going through a very tough time at the moment with the increasing number of COVID-19 Delta variant. So please, begging our families to please listen to the announcements from the Ministry of Health, stay home and be safe, right? So we always say that if there's no reason for you to go to town, don't go, just stay home. This is a time when you can stay home and weave your mat or plant your cassava, your tavioka, your ndalo, spend time with your children, husband and wife, spend time together, get to know each other more. Melebu na tavilomani. Manakwa bakalebu sara. Bekem ni keda na bakarong chikumai, bakanako bakalebu ni darani na may sota bate na kabi na kanikua, singa moniti, singa chikuni nonda may Veitalanoa, and anong batabat na maratak sar bakalebu ni Isema mai na marama ni Hawaii go o Roen Hufford. Chikungoy way mea, and ayan no lebu o Hawaii. Tababi ni Vinaka bikwe ni suletu me na nonangona, me wasia weekend na noni talanoa me baleta na nonando tukimasi. Kena nona do kesa. Au sa baka bini binaksarin value wikem ni todo ksara and no munisema tikumay na madongo and talangay sota ni singlo tu lebu and la tostar chikin na do Veitalano bat kena turanga kena marama ni sana o kenadau. Ba bini binaksar value wikem ni todo ksara and no do may sema bat chiku lebu sara la turanga ni kenadau maram ni kenadau versa sema maingo o this is sara bichik go manasa tuidakau and singlo tu lebu alisi do reo and singa vakaraubuka o mano Masi ke isi Masi and singa vakarautaki moni vakarauai na dona mata singa ring levu and singa vakarautaki do chingona mata ser ni kenadau na dana chingona Chekia senga ni Chekia kava io rere vakarovia kan kera Chekia kava io bertono kutau bumi nanronga ke ira kera mandolak me vakalevu and daga na singa ring ke na tortal and a singa vakarautaki. Kau cukup mana vakawela, tambul 7 rendre. Kau cukup mana vakawela and singa vakarautaki and a sema cukup kino isi Masi ke mano Masi. Rona dorbo ni bulia ono me kenadau ro alangata na sere na nongumbembe. Sale. Gai bembe tal ni kenadau. Do buka bango buka saranga bakayawa. Gai lawanga na buno le rokin. Singa tambo na sema cukup kino kasi bulu bakadengu. Litiana Rokowati, vakasilimi, and a sematal chunga mai o Professor Patrick Nan. Na wastal chunga kwa na walu na kaloko, and a kabini singa tambo balete ni, the kabachiko kwa na bagadindike, ni vei kamakawa, and yanu o kenadau. Sa sakwa ngaya, sa babi ni Vinaka bikem ni kersar Kingsland, Vinaka bakalebu na sema mai, sidavu, sa malo ambula, sandinde sidavu, angay rong talamena muni Kasa Jonathan Aaron nimbula Vinaka nakapagalebu na siya matikumay au sana baka mo den yengo dalang kay sa total and single to lebu and non the Veitalanoa and yanu o kenadau au sa baka mo ni mo talk